This is hashtag Surviving Alzheimer's, a caregivers podcast based on the book Surviving Alzheimer's with friends, Facebook, and a really big glass of wine. I'm Dayna Steele, and I lost my mom, Fran Nicholson, to Alzheimer's. Now I share stories from other caregivers and the experts who help us through this crazy journey. Well, Mary Beth, thank you so much for joining me on hashtag Surviving Alzheimer's. Let's just jump right in. You were diagnosed with frontal lobe dementia
I was. Yeah.
was it 2012?
I think it was 2012. And it usually takes about 4 years to lead up to a diagnosis. And yeah, so I'm 58 years old now, and I was 40.
Wow. So early onset. What made you or a doctor or a medical professional or somebody say, let's do this test or let's see what's happening?
It started out with being forgetful, just simple things. I was a VP of a company, and I was really starting to struggle with numbers, so the whole finances of it. But I was very short-tempered, so my personality really was starting to change. And my partner, Dawn, well, she picked up on it as well because I made some pretty big, substantial financial bad decisions and without her knowing.
Oh,
So yeah, so just even that decision, to do those things was uncharacteristic. And so we started off going to just the family doctor, and he said, it looks like there's some depression here. And I said, yeah, could be. And then it just said, I just never got better from this depression. So I started seeing a counselor, which she was awesome. I never got better. Um, and eventually along the road, I can't remember exactly where in those years was, someone said, let's get you to see a neurologist.
neurologist. Yeah.
Thank you. Tongue twister.
Thank you.
And that's when it really started to come out. So started seeing that person. They could see challenges in tests that I started to take. And then I saw other physicians. And then it just kind of bubbled up that, yep, you have something called frontotemporal dementia, and there's no cure. Go home, get your affairs in order, and get ready to die.
See you, bye.
See you, bye. Exactly.
When they walked in and told mom that, well, they didn't even, they didn't, why do people speak like this in front of dementia patients? They just acted like she wasn't even there. They came in
Yep.
and handed me the report and said, it looks like your mom is well into the stages of Alzheimer's. I'll leave you two to talk, and walked out.
Wow.
And I looked at my mom fully expecting her to it's one of those memories of mine where I knew how far we were along when she looked at me and there was no reaction. There was no upset.
Yeah.
She was just like, "Can we go to lunch now?" I was like,
Um,
that's when I was like, "Oh, wow."
yeah.
Um, so when I get a chance to talk to somebody like you, Mary Beth, who has been diagnosed, who is living with it, and I like the comment, living well with it, um, I find myself wanting to ask questions that I didn't ask my mom or my mom couldn't answer. So your reaction when
Here
they
I
say, yeah, there I am. So you go home, get your affairs in order. Love you, Dawn. The
Yep.
end. I've read somewhere that with you, it was almost a relief because at
Mhm.
least you knew what was going on. You weren't going crazy.
That's exactly what happened. So we had really been battling this issue for years that we couldn't put our thumb in, and in order to get my health finances, I had to go to all these doctors that they had said I must see. So these are psychiatrists, basically. We were told we had marital issues, um, that I was making it all up in my head. I mean, you name it, I think there was 12 or 13 different diagnoses.
I wonder how many relationships have been broken up over
Oh,
a misdiagnosis or no diagnosis
I
because
would say
somebody
there's,
said it's
yeah,
marital problems. Wow.
yeah. And that was after 3 visits. And he knew. And then he turned around, and I think I'm coming to your answer. But then he turned around and he said, and you better hope it's not dementia, because if you do, it's game over. Quote. I have a few quotes that I tried really hard to keep in my head, and that is one of them.
Wow. Game over.
Game over. Can you imagine that? And so finally, someone looked at us, and as terrible as the medical way it was presented to us, it was a relief because then we could do something about it. We had no knowledge of what this was. We didn't know about dementia and Alzheimer's.
We all
We
think
knew
we're pretty
everybody else
smart.
knew.
You are a vice president. You're running a company. On the radio and on
Yeah,
television, and you think you're really sharp. And then when you hear those words, it's dementia,
yeah.
it's Alzheimer's. y- it- you realize how little you know and how everyone's journey is different. What were some of the first things you did when you went home? You have this diagnosis.
So we
What
have it.
did you do? Yeah.
Well, the first thing that happened, actually, right in the room with the doctor, was she said, "So you're going to die, and you're going to be financially draining your family, and you'll be a sexual deviant, and you can't drive effective immediately." So my license was revoked literally right then, right on the spot, and I had driven to the appointment.
Wow. See, we don't do that in America. We just let everybody drive.
I will not even respond to that one. So by the time we got home, we cried. Both of us just cried.
Yeah.
And we held each other. And as good as it was to have a diagnosis, that's when the research started. And of course, we went to, Mr. Google, and it brought up everything that was bad because there wasn't anything good out there. There wasn't anything about carpe diem with dementia, living well with dementia. There was the whole medical community saying, this sucks, and good luck with it. And so we grappled with that. We had to, say, okay, this is what it is, but that's not the life you want to live. And we pretty well made a decision fairly soon after that. My niece came up to visit us, and she had a painting that she made for me, and it says carpe diem. And I said, "What is this? What do you mean by carpe diem?" And she said,
Seize
"Well,
the day.
seize the day, hallelujah," right? And it was so powerful at that moment for us because we were so busy thinking about what was going on, or thinking that we knew what was going to go on in the future. We were reflecting on the past that we weren't even looking at the day at all. And this just really, it took us to a place we needed to be, which was central, with our day right in front of us, because that's what we could affect. And we still live by those words. So that was, whatever that is, 10 years ago now.
That was
And
13 years ago.
13 years
You're
ago,
still you're sitting here doing a podcast with me.
yeah.
You're speaking, you're making complete sentences, you're making complete sense.
Yeah.
Now, we're pretty sure my mom hit it. The doctor said 5 to 7
Hmm.
years. She hit it with post-it notes, which is why
Hmm.
when I do the play, when you come into a theater, the whole theater is just post-it notes everywhere.
I love that.
But she did it very well. We think it was more like 7 to 10 years.
Wow.
Um, but I'm just flabbergasted. I want to reach to the screen and I just want to hug you and I want to get all this
Oh.
knowledge out of you. Um, why are you doing so well? What do you attribute that to?
There's a few things. One is the carpe diem. To have a motto that is so strong and easy to remember, 2 words, right? And my family has adopted this motto. So they're in support of how to live today, the best day we can. So it's not just me going off on my own. So we all have this like mindset. My friends have the like mindset. And so we're up for adventures. What are we going to do today? What's our adventure for today? So that really has helped live a positive life, to stay grounded. Um,
Now, when you were
yeah, partner
diagnosed, there were
Don.
no medications.
Oh, I got a list full of medications.
Now there's there are some medications. I've had doctors say, take a bazillion
Yeah,
vitamin C a day, a bazillion vitamin
yeah,
D, and then you have another doctor goes, no, don't do that, do this. What, I mean, do you take supplements? Do you take medication?
I do.
If I may ask those questions.
Yeah, I don't remember, I don't remember what I take, but I do take medication. And there's chemical imbalances that medication can help with. So it's great to not live with medication if you can. But if that will help me, if I can take that orange pill or the black pill or whatever it is, and it's going to make me, maybe less edgy, maybe a little bit more um, less aggressive, more remembering, whatever it may be, then I'm going to take the black pill.
I'm hearing
But
Jefferson Airplane, lyrics here.
that's funny because my daughter Brian and we laugh a lot, the Beatles, some of the Beatles songs, and um, but the one of the first things people always say is, well, are you taking, and again, I don't remember the name of the medication, but oh, it's supposed to really help you remember and really kind of stave off dementia. I'm like, no, this is what I do. I live a really good life. I plugged into family. My partner Don of 23 years, right beside me the whole way, very supportive, and I do a lot of advocacy work. So getting out and talking about how to live a positive day
And
and
you
not
write.
sitting back.
And you write. You
Yeah, I
write
mean, we can
here.
do this.
Yeah. I
And
think it's
I've
just
been put out to
amazing.
politicians. Canada didn't have a national dementia strategy plan. So it was myself and a number of people from across Canada who came together and said, this is what Canada needs, and put pressure in the right spots. And lo and behold, I was one of two people in the very first ministerial advisory group for Canada for dementia.
And just the opposite here. It's not a political podcast. I'm no longer a political, advocate or candidate, but we are seriously in the last few weeks defunding Alzheimer's research and help and care and financial support for seniors in long-term care. So, it's just something that we're going to have to continue to fight. If you were to give, and I probably could answer this for you because I love your positive outlook and what you do, for somebody who is frightened to go
Mhm.
get the diagnosis.
Mhm.
So many people, it's just easier to go, oh, I'm just dingy. I'm getting older. Oh, mom's always been that way. That was mine. Oh, mom's always been that way. Because I knew if I took her in, it was going to change my life. And I can look
Mhm.
back now and say that.
Yeah.
Back then, I didn't even realize why. I was like, no, I should have taken her in years earlier. But it was like, no, she's just dingy. What do you say to someone who feels like that, Mary Beth?
The sooner we are able to identify that there's a cognitive problem, then the sooner we're going to be able to offer that person um, rehabilitation help, period. Let's put it on the table. This is what we have. It doesn't have to be about the medication, but the sooner that we can identify it and help strengthen our brain, because we still learn. There's this notion up there that people living with dementia can't learn new things. Wrong, you know. And so that is why people should go out and it's scary for sure. Absolutely. Sitting in a gerontologist's room waiting for a diagnosis is scary stuff. But if you can get past that, if you can say, I'm going to go in, I'm going to see what I can do because I can get help. And if they don't offer the help there, then you go out and find it. The first thing you should always be doing is looking for rehabilitation.
Carpe diem, seize the day. What adventure are we going to have today? What's still on your bucket list?
Oh my goodness, what's on my bucket list? I think I still have a few trips planned.
Where?
Um, Lo and behold, Disney down in Florida. So we have three grandchildren, and we're going to take the whole family down. We have it already scheduled for Christmas time of next
Oh,
year.
you are just a glutton for punishment, aren't you?
Well, I didn't say I booked it,
Oh, you're
but
gonna have a ball.
that's what it's about, right? It's about having a ball. It's about having that moment in the future that offsets all the negative things that we know will happen.
What else?
That's a big one. Um, I'm
Skydive?
working on a book right now.
Oh, great book. That's
Yeah.
a long-term commitment.
Well, it's an interesting book because it's a genealogy book. I'm writing it for my daughter, who hopefully she doesn't listen to this part right now because it's going
Okay,
to be a
turn it
part of her
off. Don't
Christmas
listen.
present. And the other thing that I'm doing is just being more aware of my relationships. And I really want to get either replugged in or do more adventures with my friends.
Yeah, mom's friends all disappeared because Alzheimer's, dementia,
Oh, yeah.
they make people uncomfortable. So I constantly preach, reach out. Don't leave your friends behind. Don't.
I think you said something on one of your podcasts, which was a Richard Taylor statement. Um, I think you had said that. What do you say to someone who has dementia? Say hello.
Say hello. Hello. Hey, let's go get a pedicure. Let's go to the theater. Don't stop doing the things you've always done. Because yes, your friend, your loved one's going to change a bit, but it's that love, that friendship, the adventure, the social aspect of all of it. So, final words on hashtag surviving Alzheimer's, Mary Beth Wighton.
Well, first, thanks for having me here.
Oh, you're fantastic.
Second, remember that you can live a really good life with a cognitive disability. It takes work, but when you put that hard work in, like anything, it can change the way you live your life. We got lots of negative stuff going on in this world right now, and it takes a lot to stay focused on that carpe diem. But live the best day you can today. I hopefully when people are done listening to this podcast, they go away and they say, "Damn, I better get moving. I'm going to go out and have that coffee right now with my friends because today's the day."
Hashtag Surviving Alzheimer's is produced and copyrighted by JFA Inc. and Blue Squirrel Productions. Executive producer Dayna Steele. Original music written and performed by Calvin Adams. The book, Surviving Alzheimer's with Friends, Facebook, and a really big glass of wine, is available in paperback and Kindle versions at Amazon.com. Please consider a donation to keep us going. Donation links to our tax-deductible grant fund and more information as well as resources can be found at thewomaninthemirrorplay.com.